A series is the sum of the numbers of a sequence. Sum means to add. So if you had 3, 6, 9, the series would be 3 plus 6 plus 9. This is the related series of the sequence. There's a couple, I can call a series finite. So finite means it stops. So a finite series is a series that is a specified number of terms. So over here, my example right here is a finite series because there's just 3 terms. Or you can have an infinite series. So an infinite series is a series that has an infinite number of terms. So if I write it like this, 3 plus 6 plus 9 plus 9 or plus 12, ... This ellipses can mean infinite. So it has an infinite number of terms. So we have an arithmetic series formula. So the formula to find the sum of an arithmetic series is n over 2. So n is number of terms. Times parentheses a sub 1, which we know is the first term, plus a sub n, which can mean if you have 45 terms, this is the 45th term. Or if you have a set sequence, then the last term is a sub n. So number 1, use the finite sequence. So remember, finite sequence means there's a specified number of terms to write the related series. So to write the related series, what you're going to do is just do 5 plus 9 plus 13 plus 17 plus 21 plus 25 plus 29. So at this point, if you have to evaluate the series, that means you need to figure out the sum. So you can either just add these up on your calculator, or I'm gonna solve this using the formula up here. So the formula is gonna be n over 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. So n stands for the number of terms. So the number of terms in this sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is going to be 7 divided by 2 times the quantity a sub 1. So a sub 1 is my first term. 5 plus a sub n, which is my last term, 29. So when I calculate this, you can put it right in your calculator, you get 119. Or you could add these up. Okay, second one. A staircase uses the same cement blocks arranged 4 across as shown. So use the arithmetic series formula. So that means I need to use this formula to find the total number of blocks. So this base right here has 20 blocks. This has 16 blocks. This is 12 blocks. So it's going to be 4 plus the second row is 8 plus 12 plus 16 plus 20. So I'm going to show using the formula. So the formula is the number of terms over 2 times the first term plus the last term. So the number of terms, there's going to be 5. So it's 5 over 2. The first term is 4 and the last term is 20. So this is 60 blocks. Obviously you could just count the blocks, but I'm showing you how to do it with the formula. Okay, when we're talking about a series, one way that you can write a series is called using sigma notation or summation notation. So sigma is the Greek letter S, sum S, sigma. So I'm going to show you kind of what happens with sigma, what this means, and then we're going to do some problems that you can use the formula for. So when you have this notation, this means the sum of all of the terms when I plug in 1 for n. So I'm going to plug in 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to add those numbers up. So if you plug in 1, you're going to get 2 times 1, which is 2. If you plug in 2, the next number, you're going to get 2 times 2, I don't really need to put this in parentheses, equals 4. If you plug in 3, you're going to get 2 times 3, and that equals 6. If you plug in 4, you're going to get 2 times 4, and that equals 8. And this sigma means I need to add up these numbers. So 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 is going to be 6 plus 6 is 12 plus 8 is 18 or 20. So it's 20. Now the reason I stopped at 4 was because this number right here that I put red on was 4. If this was a 20, you'd keep going, it was 20. If this started at n equals 3, then you'd start at 3 and keep plugging numbers in until you get to the top number. So there's a way that you can evaluate a summation notation. So I'm going to use this series. So this is the sum of all the expressions, or all of the numbers, when I plug in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to 18. So to find the number of terms, what you do is you take the top number minus the bottom one, and then you're going to add 2, or add 1, sorry. So it's always the top minus the bottom, add 1. So in this case, there's 18 terms. So I'm going to evaluate the series, I'm going to use a formula, n over 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. So I know that there are 18 terms, so that's going to be 18 over 2. Now, to get the first term, what you do is you plug in the bottom number. So a sub 1, you're going to plug in 1. So if you plug in 1, negative 2 times 1 plus 3 is 1. To get the last term, you're going to plug in the top number. So to get the last term, it's going to be negative 2 times 18 plus 3. Okay, so that's how I get my first term and my last term. The first term, you plug in the bottom number. In the last term, you plug in the top number. So the top number, when I plug it in, it's negative 33. So it's going to be negative 33. So when I do this in my calculator, I get negative 288. So if I have to evaluate the series, I'm using the formula. So now we're going to practice with these 3 down here. So to figure out the number of terms, you're going to do 10 minus 1 and then add 1. So in this case, the number of terms is 10. To find the first term, you're going to plug in the bottom number. So if you plug in 1, you're going to get 1 minus 3, so that's negative 2. So the first term is negative 2. To get the last term, you plug in the top number. So that's going to be 10 minus 3, which is 7. So I have everything I need to know because I'm going to use this formula, n over 2, a sub 1 plus a sub n. So the n represents the number of terms, which I found was 10. A sub 1 is the first term, and a sub n is the last term, or in this case, the 10th term. So when I add these up, I get 25, or when I put this in my calculator, I get 25. Okay, number 6. Find the number of terms. So remember, to find the number of terms, we have to do the top number minus the bottom number. So 10 minus 5, and then we're adding 1. So there's going to be 10 minus 5 plus 1, there's going to be 6 terms. To get the first term, you plug in the bottom number. So it's a half times 5 plus 1, and I get 3.5. To get the last term, you plug in the top number. So it's a half times 10 plus 1, and I get 6. So now I can plug it into my formula, number of terms over 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. So the number of terms I have is 6 over 2. A sub 1 is the first term, 3.5 plus a sub n is this last term, 6. So that's 28.5. All right. So to get the number of terms for this last problem, what you want to do is take n minus 30 or 97 minus 38 and then add 1. So 97 minus 38 plus 1 is 60. So there's going to be 60 terms. To get the first term, you plug in the bottom number. So the first term is going to be 3 times 38 minus 5. So that's 109. To get the last term, you plug in 97 in for n. So it's 97 times 3 minus 5, which is 286. So to evaluate the series, you're going to use a formula. So the formula is arithmetic. So it's n over 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. So the number of terms is 60 over 2. The first term is 109, and the last term is 286. So I'm going to calculate this, and I get 11,850. That's evaluating the series.